Good morning, everybody, and welcome to week 4 of New Testament. By now, we are far enough into the class where you will have decided that these videos are either really helpful or are the best cure for insomnia that you've ever come across. Now, I hope it's not the latter, but be that as it may, I will continue to crank them out in the hope that they are helpful in your study of the New Testament. Moving on from Judaism, this week we will examine the influence of Greek thought on the creation of the New Testament, beginning with the Greek philosopher Socrates. Socrates, to put it bluntly, was a pain in the rear to his fellow Athenians. Possessing a brilliant mind and a delight in needling those happy with the status quo, he constantly and with humor questioned the good citizens of Athens, artisans, merchants, other philosophers, politicians, about their beliefs. This drew him a small circle of devoted followers, but with the larger population made him suspect as a threat to conventional morality and wisdom. He so upset some circles that he was eventually falsely charged with introducing new gods and being a corrupter of the youth of Athens. This is one of the dark spots in the history of open expression in Athens. Socrates was executed for his crimes. Many scholars find parallels between Socrates and Jesus. Both followed what they considered a divine calling. Both cultivated spiritual values and repudiated materialism. Both paid the supreme price for their subversive ideas that put them into conflict with the authorities. There is something to be said for this comparison, but it should also be noted that there is great cultural difference between worldly, secular Athens and the conservative, pious nature of Judaism of the time of Jesus. Another point of comparison between Jesus and Socrates is that neither left any record of their teaching in writing. In both cases, their works and words were replicated by their followers. In the case of Socrates, the disciple who performs this task was his student Plato. Plato records what Socrates has to say in a series of philosophical dialogues where Socrates outwits and outthinks his opponents. This raises another point of comparison between Socrates and Jesus. Sometimes it is difficult to sort out the real words and ideas of the teacher from those of his disciples when it comes to written records. Plato goes on to have a profound influence on Western religion in two areas: beliefs about the immortality of the soul, and that decisions made in this life can have an effect on the afterlife, especially when it comes to death, afterlife rewards, and punishments. Plato's view of reality was consistent with that of most of Greek thought. Two distinct and separate realities exist: the pure spiritual reality of perfect eternal ideas, and the flawed physical realm, where what humanity perceives is an imperfect reflection of the true nature of things that exist in the unseen world. The physical self belongs to the material realm, and is thus subject to the process of change, decay, and death. The soul, however, originates in the spiritual realm, and as such returns to the spirit realm for judgment upon the death of the physical self. The nature of education is thus learning the superiority of the soul to the body and practicing those virtues that prepare the soul for its final destiny. The genuine philosopher is the one who pursues the eternal truths that make true virtue possible, and as part of this helps others see this as the goal worth pursuing, instead of the pursuit of worldly goals such as political power or riches. Through seeking the perfect justice of the unseen world, eternal life is accomplished. The best example of Platonic thought in the New Testament is the book of Hebrews, where Platonic concepts are used to illuminate the differences between the two spheres of reality, such as in Hebrews 1, 1 through 4, and 9, 1 through 14. The definition of faith found in Hebrews is really a confession of Platonic belief in the realities of the unseen realm. This is found in Hebrews 11, verses 1 through 2. We will now look in slightly less detail at some other Greek schools of philosophy whose teachings are echoed in the New Testament. Stoicism. This school of Greek thought, founded by the thinker Zeno in Athens, emphasizes the order and moral purpose of the universe, embodied in the principle of reason, with a capital R, or in Greek, the word logos, with a capital L. This term means word or cosmic wisdom, and is the force that unifies the world and makes it comprehensible to the human intellect. Human souls are sparks off the divine logos, and as such, a spark of the divine can be found in all individuals. Part of the practice of Stoicism is to learn to listen to this inherent divine element so as to achieve harmony with nature and the universe. Stoics practiced rigorous self-discipline, seeking self-sufficiency and indifference to pleasure or pain, and to learn to avoid great shows of emotion. Some noted Stoics include the philosopher Seneca, the Greek slave Epictetus, and the Emperor Marcus Aurelius. An example of Stoic thought in the New Testament can be found in Philippians 4, 1 through 11, where Paul discusses self-discipline and the ability to endure want or plenty. Epicureanism was founded, naturally enough, Epicurus. This is the polar opposite of Plato and Stoicism in its view of reality. Everything, including the human soul, has a material composition. The soul simply withers away with the body upon the death of the physical body. Gods may or may not exist, but they have nothing to do with humankind. Lacking the divine logos to guide them, people must make their own purpose in life. One major purpose is to avoid pain, which causes the insightful to avoid politics or public service, for in those arenas rivals will seek to cause harm. Sensual indulgence that may weaken or destroy the body is to be avoided as well. The only lasting pleasures are those of the mind. Epicureanism has a sort of ancient scientific support in the atomic theory of Democritus, who taught all things are made of tiny invisible particles called atoms. These particles are in constant motion that form temporary objects, including sentient beings such as humans. Reality is a constant process, the collection and disintegration of objects. All individuals are simply chance collections of atoms, destined to eventually dissolve into the nothingness from which they came. The Hebrew Bible is of much the same opinion.